Hi, Imtiaz. Good evening.
Hi Manisha, good evening.
Could you please open your PPT
Yeah, sure.
explaining the related topics?
Is my screen is visible, Manisha?
Yes, Imtiaz.
Yeah. So can I start my PPT?
Yeah,
Yeah. So the topic is attribute dimension. So we can say that why we are using attribute dimension. What is about the attribute dimensions? Or attribute dimensions are a special type of dimensions that are associated with the business level dimensions, and it contains the members which is associated and used to associate with the dimensions which having the members. And next one, in which cases we are using the in which artifacts we are using the artifact dimensions, attribute dimensions are. In this topic we will able to show us usage of the attribute dimension in the following artifacts. Those are data forms, RTP, BR, business rules, smart rules. Next one, what is an attribute in general? Can you give me an example of an attribute in Amazon app? Sure. Like in Amazon app, we have different sectors like kitchen sections and fashion sections and kids sections like that. We have different genres and the exporting of the materials to various regions like that. At the same time, in attribute in general, we can locate the like giving the size and the color and the product numbering. So all those in general we can use the attribute dimensions for that. Can you explain the difference between the standard dimension and the attribute dimensions? Standard dimensions which are we are not created, that are pre-built we are getting at the application creation, and the attribute dimensions which are created by us at the product we can create the custom dimensions. Their custom dimensions will be reflected the attribute values. Which guys do you prefer, attribute dimension over standard dimensions? So in this, we can prefer the attribute dimension in the standard dimension. Why? Because in attribute dimensions, we can select whatever we need. Like if you want to give the regions, or if you want to give some of sort of data which is created, which we want to create in the custom dimensions, we can use the attribute dimensions. Can we assign an attribute dimension to a dense or sparse dimensions? Yes, we can create the dimension attribute dimension. The dense are under the sparse levels. At the dense level, we are create it will reflect at the custom attribute values. Use of the existing attribute dimensions. Okay, can you show me how to create an attribute dimension? Can you show me how to assign attribute dimension to a standard dimension? Okay, let's go for the application EPM cloud. So first I am going to click on the navigator. Yeah. So click on the navigator and click on the dimensions. Then the I'm going to creating the custom dimension for the product. Select in the product and click on the custom dimension. So here have already created two types of the custom dimensions, and I'm showing you how to create the dimensions. First of all, you have to give the some name for the creating the attributes. Like I'm giving the name as the region, and the data type whichever we want, like a test date, boolean is nothing but 0 or 1s numerics. I'm giving the test. So click on save. The data is saving. After the data is saved, we can add the shared member for this. Like this, we can add the attribute dimensions whenever, whatever, and how many you want to create the child dimensions. You can create the child attributes here. Like this, I have already created the T custom dimension, and after that, I created the child members, product custom, product class, and product electronics. For standard dimensions also we can create the custom dimensions. Let's see. Go to the dimension, click on the dimension, and I want to take some dimensions are like for currency I'm going to giving the custom dimension. So click on the custom dimension. So then I'm going to creating the custom dimension, like I'm creating for the currency, then I'm giving the name as a currency attribute. Click on save. So for that I am going to creating the child as USD, and then EUR, like that. I have created the values. For click on save. An object with the name UR already exists. Okay, the UR is already existed. This will also be existed. So let's see in the application that which type of the currency is not existed. We can give the, that currency that will be saved in the application. Like this we are created in the standard dimensions. It reflects at the attribute values. Let's see how it reflects. Click on the dimensions and click on any of the predefined or user defined ones, and then check that select ones and click on edit. There we have the attribute values. Click on attribute values. So here is sorry, just a second. Yeah, it reflects in the attribute values. This is the parent number, and these are the I have created for the dimension currency. So let's check in currency. Click on edit, attribute values. Yeah, the created currency attributes are there. If you want to use them, you can use here. Come back to the PPT. Next slide. So can you show how to use attribute dimension in the data form in the page drop down, and show me how the standard dimension members are filtered. Use any of the existing attribute dimension. If not available, create one as the below hierarchy: region, APAC, Europe, USA, MEA, Middle East, Africa, and tag region attribute dimension to the standard dimension entity and randomly assign the members of the region to the entity members. If missing and zeros settings is enabled, show me how to standard members are filtered for the attribute members. Can you move the attribute dimension to the POV and explain outcome of it? And can you move attribute dimension to the rows and explain outcome of it? Can you move attribute dimension to the columns and explain the outcome of it? Let's go for the application, and let's see in the data forms. Click on the navigator, click on the forms. So next, click on the folder. I'm taking as a form 1, and click on edit. If you want to create, we can create the form. So have the already form. The attribute dimensions. Here we can see that which are created the attribute dimensions like custom attributes, currency attributes, and region and p custom. All these are created by the user as the attribute dimensions. Let's see, these are the attribute dimensions. When the attribute dimensions are placed in the rows, Then see the preview for that, how the outcomes comes out. Yeah. So at the P, we get it the P custom, which is created at the attribute custom attribute level. Like that, let's see how the outcome of columns will come out. Columns will be come out when attribute dimensions are placed in the columns. Click on the preview. So like this, it will be comes out. Next, put in the page dimension and then preview it. Like this, everything POV, page, under attribute dimension, wherever we can see how it will be act. So here we can be take as the P custom dimensions. Click on it. So the P custom dimension will be appear here. Click on OK. Then close it. So let's see in the POV. Place in the POV. Drag and drop into the POV. So here we also see how the outcomes will come out. So here is the custom dimension, P custom in the POV. If you want to use, you can use the custom dimensions for the attribute. The P custom is the custom dimension which is used for the attribute values. There we can see the attribute dimension. So usage of the attribute dimension in RTP. Here in this PPT, they're taken as the Europe, USA, MEA region, but I am taking as a P custom dimension. Usage of attribute dimension in RTP. Can we assign attribute dimension or attribute dimension members in the runtime prompt? Yes, of course we can run the attribute dimensions. If yes, can you show me how to assign the attribute dimension or attribute dimension member in the RTP? Can you show me only a few attribute dimensions limited in RTP? Only show AP, AC and Europe from the above tip in the slide 4. So let's go to the application and click on the navigator, then click on the rules card. So here drop down, action drop down, then click on the variable designer. So expand the EPM cloud. I'm doing it in the console level, cube level. The global level is using for the whole application, but at console level we are using at the cube level. Here I have already created the runtime prompt for the custom attributes. So if you want to create new one, you can create here clicking on the new, then give the credentials like give the data like a name as the RTP underscore custom attribute, and I am picking has the type members, then dimension is the P custom, or we have the product dimension also, whichever we want to take we can take, whichever the dimensions we are created those will appear here. So I am taken as the P custom and giving here we can give the limits for the product attribute dimensions. So I am taking as the limits as choosing the members and functions. We have the attribute dimensions. Click on the functions and click on the attribute. Then we can choose the member. So click on the drop down, dimension drop down. Then we have the P custom. Like this we can choose the attribute dimension and we can give the limits further. The default value also be the limit value. Then check out the RTP. If you want to give any text, we can give here. Like after completion of all the process, click on the save. Next, in can you show me how many functions are available to use the attribute in the BR? And use technical references. Can you show me at least 2 functions of attribute in the BR? Expectation, choose randomly any attribute dimension member, choose any one randomly combination of standard dimension, create input sheet in SmartView, create an output sheet in SmartView, create BR with the attribute functions, execute BR, show me the result in the output sheet created. Can you show me how to insert of the attribute in the SmartView? Can you show me a report with the attribute dimension? Expectation, choose any 2 random combinations, standard dimension combination for each of attribute dimension member associated with. Enter any random number in those combinations. Show and explain how those input members are reported by each of the attribute dimension members. And also add attribute dimensions. So let's go for the application. In the rules card, after creating the runtime prompt for the business rules, you have to execute in the created rules or predefined rules. So I have created the rules as a custom rule 1, custom rule 2. In custom rule 1, I have already executed the attribute. To open the custom rule, there you can see that the entity and the RTP, the standard dimension and the custom attribute. The combination of those two are here. The standard one is the entity and the combination for that is a custom attribute. So I am giving as those entities. So here is the execution. So RTP runtime prompt for the global level, runtime prompt for the cube level. So after giving all the, here is the fixer and end fixes are the commands, and the runtime prompt or the script which are which are written by us. So after updating all the process, then click on the validate. After validation, if you don't get any error, then go into the deploy, click on deploy. After completion of the deployment, then come back to the application. They will have the rules card. Click on the rules card. So I have created in the custom rule 1. So launch the custom rule 1 for the business rules. So here we can see that enter the entity E1 and enter the product. This is the attribute function, like attribute is a function, so that we can be symbolize with the at the date. For the dimensions, we can shows like ampersand E1. The symbol is ampersand. For the functions, we are using the at the rate. So at the rate attribute product dimension. So like this, we can run the business rule or we can launch the business rule. In this topic, we have concluded show us the uses of artifacts and dimension in the following artifacts, like they have shown in the data forms, runtime prompts, business rules, and I'm going to show you in the smart view. Click on the smart view. I'm taking a new workbench. New workbook. Click on smart view. Configure with the application by giving the credentials. I have already configure to the application, then expand the accessories, expand the library, expand form 1. There I have started the form 1, so that click on ad hoc analysis. Here is the custom product attribute dimension P custom I have created. It is generated automatically. If you want to give by manually you can give it like giving a name as a p custom, enter, and hit on the refresh. That will be comes like this. I have already given as a automatically. If you want to give the manually, that will also be, we can give it by giving like is the name and giving the enter, hit on enter, then hit on the refresh, then we get the data like this. Thank you. That's it from my side.
Thank you, Imtiaz.
Thank you, Marisha.